from Unique in the Creek. And if you don't know me, I am Lori Franklin. I am the CEO and inventor of the Unique in the Creek boards. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to make a really cute, very easy, beginner-friendly, economical reindeer face wreath. Okay, we are going to be using this very cute, look how cute that face is, very cute reindeer metal sign. This metal sign is, the number is MD0353. So, and it's got glitter on his nose, super cute. So we're going to be using him or her, whatever you want. We're going to be using on the ring board. I'm also going to be using this brand new ombre style mesh. It's dark brown, tan, and cream, which is perfect for going around our reindeer. And the number for our mesh is RE13861W. Okay. And then we have this rustic, I love this. This is going to be for around his neck, because he is a reindeer. So we got this rustic bow. Let's cut the tag off. The tag is XY921450. We have this rustic bow, which will move around, but it's got some really cute bells on it, right? So it's going to go down when we're finished, the very last piece. It's going to go down at the bottom of his neck for his collar. And then we got two plush wired antlers to go on him. Really cute. So you do get both. These are XS1264. We need two of them. And we have some zip ties. That is it. So we are going to get started. So what you're going to do, we're going to grab the ring board, okay? Cut your zip ties open so we need to use them. Grab a couple. Because the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put the reindeer face, this 12-inch metal face, onto our ring board. And we're going to zip tie it on. I am, however, going to remove the tag in the back, just because this is an open center, so you don't want your customers seeing the tag. All right, once your sticker is off, we're going to mount the reindeer face onto our ring. And the top of the board, you'll see a number 1 and a number 2, and 2 chamfered holes. Those chamfered holes, you can feel like a divot, and you can see a divot. Those are your hanging holes. So they're easy to see. This is the top and this is the bottom. So we always have a cross point. What you're going to do is you're going to line up the top hole on your wreath sign, and you're going to go down that hole. Then you're going to go down hole number 2. All right. With the tail of the zip tie, and back up 1.5. Okay, just like that. And then you're just going to lightly do that up until you hear the clicking. And then we're going to do the same thing down here. You're going to line up the hole. So you'll see that hole on our sign does line up with hole 2 on the ring board. Take your zip tie, go down hole 2, back up 1.5. And now we can do this one up tighter. So you're going to just do that up, cut your zip tie, and now we're going to do the top up, cut your zip tie, and there we go. So now our 12-inch metal sign is on our board. It's sitting right inside, perfectly centered in the ring board, and that is the back. So that's why I said we want to take the sticker off. You don't want to see that on the back of your wreath, okay? So we got that done. So we are going to cut our mesh now. There is not too many components to this wreath. It's a very simple, cute wreath. We do have a Santa face out as well that would match perfectly if you have a double door. You could put the Santa face on one side and the reindeer face on the other. Super, super cute. So you have this roll of this mesh is gorgeous. It does come in other colors, but I really liked the combo for our reindeer for this color. We need 16 pieces of mesh cut. Okay, so if you have a cutting mat and a rotary cutter, you're going to cut 16 pieces of your mesh at 22 inches. So you're going to roll out your mesh, put the end of your mesh to the end on the 0 of your cutting mat. Make sure you line up your bottom seam of your mesh so it's squared up. So you're going to line it up along one of your lines on your cutting mat. You just want to make sure it's squared up. And we're going to cut it at 22 inches. Okay, and if you don't have a cutting mat and a rotary cutter, you can use a ruler. What you can do is take your normal ruler. Your normal ruler is 12 inches. So we're going to take our ruler, flip it over. So that would be 24 inches right at the end of our ruler, right? So I put my ruler right at the end of my mesh. I just flipped it over. So that's 24. So I'm going to cut, and it does not have to be precise, my friends. It does not have to be precise at all. You won't be able to tell. But I'm going in 2 inches because when I flipped it over, that was 24 inches. So I'm just going to go into 2 inches here so that we have a 22 inch. And you can just cut the mesh with your scissors. Okay, super easy. We just want 22 inches. We need 16 pieces. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to cut out 8 of my pieces so I don't have mesh all over the place, because the first thing we're going to do is use 8 pieces. Okay, so that's 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so I'm just going to put this to the side and we'll come back and cut the other 8 once we finish the first row. All right, so let's get our board. And what you're going to do is you're going to take a zip tie. We are going to be making this really, really full, okay? So we're going to be using all the mesh. What we're going to do is just pick wherever. So how about we just pick where the number 1 is. You're going to take a zip tie. Go down the hole number 1, put the zip tie on your table so it kind of looks like an L shape. If you can see the side, it looks like an L, okay? Your flat part of your zip tie head is in facing your tail. So when your tail goes through the flat part, you will hear a zipping. If you do it backwards, it's going to be very hard to put your zip tie together and you will not hear a zipping sound. Okay, so once you got your zip tie ready, we are going to put our mesh on. Now, you're going to do this mesh curl up, which means when I let go of this, it curls up on itself. Okay, so I'm just going to use it curl up, put my scissors at the end. You're going to have your factory edge on the left and right hand side. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold this in just a little bit, an inch. Okay, and I'm going to go right up the center. Fortunately for us, this mesh has a very thick cream colored line up the center. We just need to follow that line when we're pinching and pleating. Okay, so you're going to lift that up and you're going to pinch in some of your mesh between your thumb and your forefinger. Grab some more, pinch, and you're making pleats as you're doing this. Grab some more and you're dragging this as you're collecting it in the center. Don't let go of your center. while you're pinching these. Okay, when you come to the end, we're going to fold it in about an inch again. And this is just to keep the ends of our ruffle nice and neat, so we don't see any frays or anything. Okay, so we have this nice neat ruffle. Okay, it's very full, and we're going to flip it over. When we flip it over, we're just flipping it over so we don't see the cut edge. Don't let go of your mesh. You're going to take your center of your mesh where you've pinched, and you're going to put that right on the board, right on top of the number 1 there. Okay, and then we're just going to come around with our zip tie and do our zip tie up just till it hits our mesh. Okay, now this is going to be a large ruffle all the way around, so we're going to make our wreath a lot bigger than the actual frame. So to do that, I take the very last pleat, and this is why I don't do my zip ties up tight. First thing I'm going to do is make sure each side of my ruffle are even, and it is. Then I'm going to take that last pleat that's towards his face and just flip it down towards the board. When you do this, you can see that it automatically put my ruffle going towards the outside of my board, right? So if I left it up like this, it would be going outwards. I flip this last pleat down, and look, it made it go outwards. That is what we want. Okay, as soon as you're okay with your mesh, we're just going to do that up nice and tight. Okay, you can cut the zip ties as you're going, or you can cut the zip ties when you're all finished row 1. It's much more time consuming to cut your zip ties all at the end of row 1. That way you're not constantly picking up the zip tie cutter or whatever you're using for your zip ties. Okay, so now we're going to skip this one and we're going to go to the next one. Again, you're going to take your zip tie, put it down hole 1 to the outside of the board. Okay, get it ready to go. Again, we're going to take another piece of mesh, curl up, let it go, it's curl up. Factory edge on the left and right. I'm going to fold this in about an inch. Crease it. Now, if it's hard to make that crease at the end, you can flip around your mesh and make your crease again. Okay, and then ruffle. Right up the center. Dragging and pinching. Okay, now when we get to the end, we're just going to bring the end right in to our center. Flip it over. Put it on top of the board in between hole 1 to the outside. And again, we're going to do this up. Making sure we're even. That one's already down, facing the board. Okay, and pull tight. So as you can see, when I flip it over, it's giving us much more distance. So our wreath will be a lot bigger than the actual frame. Right, okay, we're skipping. And again, going to the next one. So you're going to do 8 on row 1 in every other hole 1 to the outside of the board. Okay, so we got all 8 on the outside row of row 1, and now we're going to go around and we are going to cut our zip tie tails off. Okay, so you can use scissors, just don't use your good ribbon scissors. These are very old scissors. But just go around and cut your tails off. You can use wire nippers, or you also can use a zip tie gun. But we only have 8, so I'll just use scissors. Alrighty. Next we're going to do, before we move on to row 2, is we're going to add the antlers. Okay, so like I said, we have a center base that we can work upon. Now you could put your antlers, if you want them close together. Here's our center where it says number 1 and 2. You can do 1 antler to the row to the right and 1 antler to the left. That's what we're going to do. Now if you want them farther apart, you can go over 2. It's totally up to you. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a zip tie and I'm going to go down hole 1, up 1.5, and do this up just till I hear a zipping. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. We are going to be putting our antlers here. Okay, and do that up just like that. You have the 2 zip ties. Now you're going to take your antlers. We don't need this big bulk. First thing you're going to do, I guess, is cut off the tag. All right. Let's take this one out of the bag. All right, so these are wired all the way up to the top, so you can bend them and do whatever you want with them. What we're going to do is we're going to bend this right up, right at the base, just like that. So we got an L shape. Just kind of bend it so it's, because we are going to put some mesh over top of these, so you won't see this long piece. Okay. So get it to where the zip tie is right at the base of your antler and do it up. Okay, and then we're going to cut this off. Now you can go in afterwards and put a little bit of glue over there, but we'll wait to make sure that's where our antlers are going to go, and I think it will. So we're going to bend this one. Same thing. We're going to go in towards the middle, right to the base of the antler, kind of bend this around, and it's just sitting on the board. You're not going to see it, okay? And there we go. There's our antlers. We can move them around. Cut the zip tie off. I'm just going to have a look. Oh, they're perfect. So I am going to put a little bit of glue there because they are perfect right where they are. So I got my glue gun. I'm going to put some glue going here. Now don't block these 2 holes where we put the antler, because we are going to come over top with some mesh. So you won't see this part of the antler, which is fine because the antler's pretty long. Okay, we want to keep it proportional. All right, so I'm going to let that set. Well, I cut the rest of my mesh. Again, I'm going to cut 8 pieces at 22 inches. So this is the reason why I do err on the side of caution. We do have a 13-inch piece left. It's kind of mangled. You could use it still, but I'm just going to toss this in the garbage. I do have my 8 pieces of nice cut pieces, so that we don't have to use that, okay? However, this is a good roll, cardboard roll, to keep, okay, to do rolled petals. It's a little wider than most inner cardboard rolls. I'm going to write keep on it. So if you like to do rolled petals, that is, and it's very thick, this cardboard, That is the perfect cardboard inner tube for rolled petals. All right, our glue is dry. This one, so wherever we already put a piece of mesh, we're not putting one in that row. We're going to be putting one in the next row. So you're going to go down, hole 1.5, and back up row, hole 2, and we're going to do the same mesh fold. Okay, once you got it in the center, flip it over, and we're just going to put this right on the center. Come around with your zip tie, just like you did on row 1. And make sure it's even. This one, you don't have to angle it if you don't want. I still like to push it down right at the front, but what you want to do is make sure when you're tightening your zip tie, you tighten it with the head of your zip tie going towards the back here, so it's not sitting on top. Okay, and then we'll cut that off, and we got a nice full ruffle, and it's not completely in your reindeer's face. Okay, so now we're going to skip that one. We're going to go to the next one. All right, we're going to get to the antler to preload, and I'm going down. And skip this one, and we're going to this one. So we're going right over top of the zip tie that we used for the antler. Again, you don't want to get a ton of glue in the 2 holes, and you don't want to put the zip tie in the holes there either. All right, let's continue on. Okay, we'll go on top of the antler. Again, put your center right on top, and you're going to come around with your zip tie. So the antler is going to come out of the mesh. Pull it tight, cut, push, and just give it a little bit of a wiggle to bring it upright. And now the antler's coming out of the mesh, and you don't see any of the wire or anything from the antler. Last one, we're going to move both neighboring ruffles out of the way, come around. Even. You can see how full this is. All right. Now we're just going to go around, and we're going to kind of just push our mesh just a little bit out of his face. Okay, so now all we have left is to put our bow on. So this is a metal bow, very rustic metal bow. It's tin actually. So we want to make sure that the bells are laying down the center. And don't forget, this is a reindeer, so this is technically his collar. And, you know, it's all bent and everything, but that's the look we're going for. You can, however, we're going to straighten out a little bit. It's pliable metal, so we're going to just tighten or straighten out the bow tails a little bit so they look just a little bit better. I can separate the two metal loops. And you don't want it to be perfect. Like I said, it is a reindeer. This is his collar. It definitely shouldn't be perfect. So this is what we got. So I am going to put this right in the center here. I'll lift that up. We'll move these over. Kind of separate these. But the first thing I'm going to do is, before I fool around with that too much, is I'm going to put a zip tie. And I'm going to put a zip tie from hole right in the center at the bottom, hole 1.5 to 2. Okay, just like that. And I'm going to take the looped string that is on our bow, and I'm just going to hook it onto our zip tie head and then come around and do that up. So it's zip tied to the board. All right, right down. Do that up. Okay, so now it's attached. Now we can do some manipulation with it. The bells going down the middle. All twisted. So there's 3 bells. And I'm just going to kind of roll this one up a little bit so it's not so long. There we go. This one too. Perfect. So yeah, it's supposed to look very rustic looking. I'll make sure our ruffles are good. And there we go. Okay, so this is what we have so far. Very cute. Oh, let's move some of this out of his face. Pushed it towards his face when I... There. Lift these up. Just see his mouth. There we go. Okay, there we go. There's his antlers. There's his collar. You can put a little bit of glue if you want to keep it sitting in place. Put a dab of glue right there, adjust, and then glue it to the mesh if you want. I'm just going to leave it free flow. It's a collar. It's not supposed to be perfect. Anyways, okay, so now we're going to do our... put a hanger on. So you're going to just flip this over. And up at the top there was 2 holes I mentioned at the beginning, the chamfered holes. You're going to take a zip tie with the flat edge head of the zip tie towards the in between. Go down this hole, and I have my hand underneath because I'm just going to push up the zip tie. Okay, I'm going to do it up till I hear a couple zips. Cut off the tail so it locks. And there we go. We got a hanger, a nice, neat looking back of your wreath. So business on the back and party on the front. That is the gist of the reindeer face. Like I said, it would be super cute if you had double doors and you did the Santa on one side and the reindeer on the other. Now, last year I did this same project, and I put a couple of the couple ornaments, little mini ornaments that's hanging down off its antler. So these are just little mini ornaments I got at the dollar store, and I'm just going to take two. All right, and I want to just hang it kind of off the antler. So I'm going to get a little piece of string or even wire. So I have this little excess piece of ribbon I used the other day. This wire from this ribbon, it just was in the garbage, is perfect for doing our ornaments because it's very thin. It's probably about a 30. And we'll pull these side out, throw that back in the garbage because I didn't use it. And I'm just going to put the wire through the hole at the top of the ornament. Now you may want to pull the ornament base off and put a little bit of hot glue just on the outside of it. Okay. And then put the top back on. That way it's not going to fall off. There we go. So I'm just going to wire this, have it hanging a little bit. So I'm going to just wire it and twist it on the back. Twist. We want the twist on the back of it antler so we don't see it. Okay, so that's going to be hanging off. I am going to put a little bit of glue on the back of the antler so it stays in place. There we go, there's one. I think I might put the other one, maybe I'll put the other one up a little higher. And I think I'll hang it right here, kind of at the top. Okay, now I'm just going to take my glue gun and I'm going to just put a little bead of glue just on the back right there, just so the ornament wire doesn't move. Nobody will see it. And then I can cut the excess wire off. And just push that down. Okay. And I'm going to do the same over here. And there we go. We have a really cute reindeer face wreath. That's it. That's all. We're letting the mesh do all the work. Super cute. I love, love, love this ombre brown. It does kind of look like fur would look, right? Not all one color. Absolutely love it. And of course our little baubles. All right, thanks for watching, and I can't wait to see what you guys make. Bye, everybody.